You want to be a data analyst, a software engineer, but you don't know SQL? Really? It's okay, I got you. In this video, we're gonna go over the basics of SQL, what it means, what it's used for, and we're gonna create our first database today. I hope this video gives you some insight into SQL and gives you the confidence to build your databases. This is for my comp sci majors, for my business majors, because whether or not you use SQL, it's a great thing to learn and put on your resume. And people see your resume and know, wow, he knows Excel, he knows SQL, baby, you can work from home. So let's get right into this video. Drop the intro. Alright, so first off, what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Now, this is a programming language, but you're not going to be creating any flashy applications. You're only going to be handling data in SQL. Some big companies that use SQL are Microsoft, Amazon. Imagine I'm an Amazon worker, okay? And I'm thinking, who placed the order?
I got you.
Okay, what did they order and how much did it cost?
I got you.
Alright, now the order's ready. Where do we send it to?
I got you.
All of this data is stored in SQL. Data about items and their prices, data about users, and the sensitive data about like where they live. All this kind of stuff is put into a fancy looking Excel called SQL. There are other databases available, but SQL is one of the most widely used databases out there. I left the link to download MySQL down in the description. It's a pretty easy install, so I'm sure you guys won't have any trouble with it. But if you have any trouble, go down in the comment section, leave a comment. I'll try to help you out as much as I can. Once you have MySQL downloaded, you're gonna see a page like this. In the initialization of the program, you probably made a database already. It was something like root and a password. Pay attention to that. All the other parts of the installation, you can just click next, because you're gonna need all the modules that SQL is trying to install. So once we're at the workbench, we can go into our database. Don't watch this part, I'm about to put my password in. Okay, so now we're in the database. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is creating a table. For all my programmers out there, table declarations are pretty much like class declarations. You're gonna wanna write create table, and then after these two keywords, by the way, the keywords are in blue, you're gonna write your table name. For this one, I'm just gonna make a simple grocery list. So now we're gonna add our variables. And these are the things that are gonna be changed in the table, right? Like for each item of my grocery, I'm gonna have things like the price, where I buy it, things like that. So first I'm gonna put item underscore name. Since it's a programming language, it's going to use the same conventions that we use in other programming languages with data types. We have strings, we have char, we have, integers. Integers are numbers, strings are words. But in SQL, we don't use strings. Instead, we use var char. And this is basically just a collection of characters. This basically makes up a word or a name. And in here, we're gonna put 255 to give it a buffer. This is how many characters are allowed for each item name. Price is obviously not a collection of letters, right? We're gonna put float. What float is, it's kind of like an integer, but it uses decimal point and remainders, because we don't want to just put that something's $3. What if it's got 99 cents attached to it? So within SQL, a common practice is to have incrementation. This allows you to find elements of your table by a custom ID that is dynamically assigned to the new element. We're gonna do item underscore ID, and it's going to be an integer, right? Because we're just doing like 1, 2, 3, 4. After item ID, we're going to put auto underscore increment in all caps. We put a comma. You want to put a comma in between each of your elements in your element declaration. So now we have a table. I totally forgot. I got way too ahead of myself. Before even creating a table, we have to tell SQL what database to use. I want everybody to put this right now. Create database if not exists, right? And we'll just call it my database. If it doesn't exist, we're gonna create it, and we're gonna wanna use my database. Going back to auto increment, we need to put this as well. Primary key item underscore ID. This tells SQL that we are using item ID as the primary way of finding elements in our database. So if we run this, we should get, boom, a table. Looks like everything ran good. Oh, duh. If you want to see anything in SQL, you gotta write this line. Select asterisk from, and then your table name, groceries. This will display your entire table, groceries. Also, you can tell that I'm getting errors in my history And that's because SQL is accumulative. Every time we put something in here, it's storing the data already. Since I created my table groceries in the last time I ran the program, we should get, boom, a table. I could just delete it. Since the table's already created, it's not going to allow us to create another table with the same name. Real quick though, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy this stuff into a document so that I know when I'm creating a new element, what variables I'm using to create it. All right, let's delete that. And finally, we have our table created. We have an item ID, item name, and a price. So let's add something. Thinking back on this, I really should have made like quantity and all that. This is just the basics, and I want this video to be short anyways. I feel like I'm already kind of going over the 20-minute mark. So to insert something into the table, we're going to write insert into groceries, and we're gonna put values, because this is the value that we want to give this new element. For the varchars, we have to put the variable in quotation marks. For the integers, we can just leave them as numbers. So I'm gonna put bananas. They were kind of expensive. I got my bananas for $4.30. No way. Now, if we run this, we have bananas with an item ID of 1 and a price of 4.3, which is $4.30. I also didn't explicitly say this, but you're gonna wanna put after groceries the variables that you are going to be declaring in your element creation. Let's add some more stuff into our list. After bananas, I bought Lucky Charms for $5 even. Add that, and we got item ID 2, Lucky Charms for $5. Let's do one more. A muffin for $1. $1, Reese. $1.20. Add that in, and we got a muffin for 1.2 and item ID 3. See how it's auto incrementing? Pretty cool, right? Let's run through a couple scenarios to show you guys how the select function works. Let's say I want to see how much money I've spent on these 3 items together. We can write select sum. In parentheses, we're going to put price because that's what we're going to be adding up. And we're going to say from groceries. All right, so we ran it and we got 10.5 and then a bunch of BS kind of after a few zeros, right? We're gonna negate all those extra numbers and just look at the 10.5. If we run it again, we look and we got 4.3 plus 5, that's 9.3, 0.2, 9.5, and then add the 1, we get 10.5. So it worked perfectly, aside from some of the extra computing that the computer wanted to do. If we just wanted to see all the items that we bought and didn't really care about the prices, instead of the asterisk, we would just put the column name that we want to view. So we put item name, run it, and boom, bananas, Lucky Charms, muffin. Don't even care about the prices, right? We're gonna do one more scenario, and this is selecting the items that are less than $4. If we select the items that are less than $4, we should just get muffin, because bananas is 30 cents over, and Lucky Charms is a whole $1 over. The way we would write this is select from groceries, like we have. We're gonna use a new keyword called where. This allows logic to be passed to SQL, where price is less than 4. If we run this, we get just muffin because all the other items were over $4. If we change this the other way around, all the items that are over $4, we get bananas and Lucky Charms, 4.3 and 5. One thing that I want to point out in this scenario as well is that our item ID, while it is dynamically assigned, it is not changed based on how you are viewing the... Wow, I really just can't talk today. It's dynamically assigned, but it's not changed based on how you're viewing the list. No matter what, Muffin's ID is always going to be 3. This makes it really cool if you have a fat list, right? And you want to access this specific muffin. Maybe you have multiple muffins. This muffin is always going to be number 3 on the list. So even if you have a muffin at maybe 68 or 72, this muffin's always going to be different than those other muffins because of its item ID. This is why auto increment is so important in SQL, because it really formats your data and separates elements and gives elements their own individuality. I hope this video gave you some insight on SQL and the basics of it. I plan to do a more in-depth tutorial because honestly, I'm still learning SQL. Once I learn some more information about SQL, I'm definitely going to keep you guys updated so that you guys can learn with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something. If you want to stick around and see some of the other videos that I'm going to be posting in the future, or maybe want to drop back and see my Tekinter tutorial, hit that subscribe button. Tell me how I'm doing in the comments and drop a like. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.